Tom was an 8-year-old boy who loved playing football. He was a happy and kind boy, but he had one bad habit: sometimes, he told small lies. One sunny afternoon, Tom was playing football in the backyard. He kicked the ball hard, and it flew straight into his neighbor's window. The window shattered with a loud crash. Tom froze. His heart was racing.
Oh no,
He thought. Mrs. Green will be so angry. Tom quickly picked up the ball and ran back into his house. He told his mom, "Mom, I saw a bird fly into Mrs. Green's window. It broke the glass." His mom looked at him with doubt. "Tom, are you sure that's what happened?" Tom nodded quickly. "Yes, Mom. It wasn't me." Later that day, Mrs. Green came to their house. She smiled kindly and said, "Tom, I know accidents happen. Did you break my window with your football?" Tom hesitated. Mrs. Green wasn't angry. She looked kind and understanding. Tom felt a little guilty. "No, Mrs. Green," Tom lied again. "It wasn't me." Mrs. Green smiled but said nothing. She left, and Tom felt worse than ever. That night, Tom couldn't sleep. His stomach felt heavy. He kept thinking about the lie. The next morning, he decided to tell the truth. He knocked on Mrs. Green's door. When she opened it, Tom said, "Mrs. Green, I broke your window with my football. I'm so sorry." Mrs. Green smiled warmly. "Thank you for telling the truth, Tom. I'm proud of you. Mistakes happen, but being honest is the right thing to do." Tom felt a weight lift from his chest. He even helped Mrs. Green clean up the broken glass. From that day on, Tom promised himself he would never tell a lie again. After Tom promised to always tell the truth, he became more mindful about his actions. One day, something unexpected happened at school. Tom and his classmates were playing during lunch break. Sarah, one of his friends, brought a new toy car to show everyone. It was shiny, red, and could zoom super fast. Everyone loved it. When Sarah wasn't looking, one of the older boys, Jake, grabbed the car and ran off. Tom saw him. Jake laughed and hid the car behind a tree. Sarah returned, looking upset. "Where's my car?" she asked, her eyes tearing up. No one answered. Everyone was silent. Tom felt his heart race. He didn't want to get Jake into trouble, but he knew what he had to do. He raised his hand and said, "Sarah, I saw Jake take your car and hide it behind that tree." Everyone turned to look at Jake. Jake frowned and said, "Why did you tell on me, Tom?" Tom stood tall and replied, "Because it's the truth. It's not fair to take something that isn't yours." The teacher, Mr. Brown, came over and asked what was happening. Tom explained everything. Jake finally admitted he had taken the car. Mr. Brown thanked Tom for being honest and told Jake to apologize to Sarah. Jake returned the car and learned a lesson about stealing. Later that day, Sarah smiled and said, "Thank you, Tom. You're really brave." Tom felt proud of himself. He realized that telling the truth wasn't just about avoiding trouble, it was about doing the right thing, even when it was hard. From that day on, Tom became known as the boy who never lied. His friends trusted him, his teachers respected him, and even Jake became his friend, learning from Tom's honesty. Tom's life became brighter because he always chose truth over lies, kindness over fear. As time went on, Tom's reputation for honesty spread beyond his school and neighborhood. People admired how brave he was when it came to standing up for the truth. One day, something happened that would test Tom's honesty like never before. The annual school art competition was coming up, and everyone was excited. Tom loved drawing, so he decided to join. He spent hours sketching a picture of his favorite place. The park near his house, with its tall trees, colorful flowers, and the bright blue sky. His art was simple but beautiful. On the day of the competition, Tom brought his drawing to school. He noticed another student, Max, sitting nervously in the corner. Max was shy and didn't have many friends. Tom walked over to say hello. Hi, Max. Are you ready for the competition? Tom asked. Max shook his head. I didn't finish my drawing, he whispered. I was too nervous, and now I don't have anything to show. Tom felt bad for Max, but before he could say anything, the teacher called everyone to submit their artwork. Tom handed in his drawing and sat down. Max, looking desperate, stayed in his seat. During the announcement of the winners, the teacher held up a beautiful drawing of a forest and declared it the first-place winner. To Tom's surprise, it wasn't his drawing, it was his friend Sarah's. But then something unexpected happened. The teacher called Max's name for the second-place prize. Max slowly walked to the front, holding a drawing that looked strangely familiar. Tom's heart sank when he realized it was his own drawing. Max had taken it when Tom wasn't looking. Tom didn't know what to do. Everyone was clapping for Max, but Tom felt upset. Should he stay quiet to avoid embarrassing Max, or should he speak up? Tom stood up and raised his hand. Excuse me, Mrs. Taylor, he said calmly. There's been a mistake. That drawing is mine. The room went silent. Max turned bright red and looked down at the floor. Mrs. Taylor asked, Tom, are you sure? Yes, I'm sure, Tom said. I worked on it at home for 3 days. Max was nervous because he didn't have a drawing, and I think he made a mistake. Max looked up, tears in his eyes. I'm sorry, Tom, he said softly. I didn't know what to do. I just wanted to be part of the competition. Mrs. Taylor nodded and said, Max, it's important to always be honest, even when things are hard. Thank you, Tom, for telling the truth. Tom didn't feel angry anymore. He said, It's okay, Max. I forgive you. Maybe next time, we can work on a drawing together. The teacher returned Tom's drawing to him and asked if Max would like to draw something during recess. Max smiled and nodded, grateful for Tom's kindness. Moral of the story. Being honest doesn't mean being unkind. When you tell the truth, you also have the power to forgive and help others learn from their mistakes.